Valerie Buchand has been advocating for redevelopment and healthier living in the Newtown community for over 40 years. In 2004, she was the voice for a group of residents in the Janie Poe Public Housing Project. At the time, conditions were deplorable. She was instrumental in calling out health and safety risks that eventually changed public policy. Today, she heads a nonprofit that organizes a weekly farmers market and annual food festival. She learned that skill while advocating for healthier living conditions. Take a listen, then she'll give us a preview of what's cooking for Big Mama's Collard Green Festival.
Sarasota got bigger and swankier. Janie Poe became a slum.
First thing that we did was to set up a field trip with the Housing Authority and the City Commission on a bus to look at potential sites. Now, this is not the first low-rent housing project built in this country or elsewhere, and we already knew a great deal about the pitfalls and the potentials of such a project. And we were aware, and we made the City Commission and the Housing Authority very much aware that if a site, and this is nothing new, if a site were chosen in the middle of the black community, no matter how beautiful the buildings, it would probably end up being a ghetto. And we thought we had been convinced, and we found a site outside of the black community in which we proposed single-family houses, because the history of low-rent housing has been that it's fraught with problems. There seem to be fewer problems when there are individual dwellings. A site was chosen and verbally approved by the Housing Authority and the City Commission on the bus. And then the next thing we knew, we read in the newspaper that the site had been dropped, and we learned that the mayor's father lived within 1 block of it, and 2 sites had been chosen exactly where they should not be inside the black community.
Janie Poe was built in a part of town that has been racially segregated since its beginnings. As early as the 1890s, African Americans settled north of downtown Sarasota in an area known as Black Bottom, later renamed Overtown. The community here has a long history and strong roots.
The area that is currently Newtown was designated as the colored neighborhood, with the colored high school and colored housing.
We have a history in Sarasota of it being a segregated community. Public housing has been out of sight, out of mind, not only figuratively, literally, and I think as a result of that, we just haven't paid the attention to it that we needed to.
I think that the fact that it impacts a racial minority in a disparate fashion is a result of historic discrimination that resulted in racial concentration.
I'm so grateful to Dr. James when he took me to the Janie Poe complex and he showed me where children live and work and play, and there was raw sewage after rains, there was black mold, there was rampant rodent and insect infestation in homes. And it's unconscionable because this community, unlike any other community, I don't know another community in America like this that steps up to the plate, not only for cultural and quality of life issues, but for social services. It's a very, very generous community once they know.
Assistant Housing Secretary Michael Liu goes to Janie Poe. It has been 15 months since the student video. More than 4 years since Valerie Buchand has been trying to get someone to care.
Welcome, Valerie Buchand. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
All right, now, Big Mama's Collard Greens Festival is coming up. But as we talked about in the lead into this, you've really been working economic development and pursuing the fight, if you will, for equity and for healthier living in Newtown for years now.
Yes.
Part of that I would describe as what you're doing in terms of revitalization and bringing healthier living to the community. Why the farmers market that you run every Saturday, as well as this festival? Talk to us about that.
Well, we started the market because we were a food desert, Newtown was. And so we pride ourselves in offering the best and the fresh of produce that we can offer our citizens. And so 7 years ago, Mr. Lou Murray was with us then, and we started this festival, Big Mama Collard Green Festival, because we have so much talent in our community, and it offers people the opportunity to showcase what they can do, because it's not just once a year event. The people do what they do all through the year, and it is economically. It's social economic because people need to be able to do what they can do, live in order to live, because there's so much strain on people living nowadays. So, you know, we just keep pushing, because everybody has the right to be social and economically savvy.
And 40 years ago, I'm saying when you were a mere babe, 40 years ago, and you were still talking about housing and affordable housing and safe housing and access to healthy foods in the Newtown area. Now with this Collard Greens Festival, and I want to introduce your daughter, Danette, who I know cooks up some awesome collard greens, and I know my collard greens. So when you talk, I know this of you because I see you all the time in different venues talking about eating healthy and putting fresh greens, whether they are collard greens, kale, and the like, but putting fresh vegetables is something that you're very much dedicated to. Yes,
ma'am, because vegetables is a good source of our nutrition. So, you know, you have to get a variety of foods. But now it's coming to the point wherein we're having to go back to planning our foods and eating from nature, you know. And it's kind of scary now that you know, so much stuff is not real anymore. So we, you know, we have collard greens, cabbage, you know, kale, and so forth, and it's good.
It's also a cultural experience when we talk about this economic development portion of it, the reason that you're having it. So it's not just collard greens.
Right.
We have many people coming to this festival.
Yes.
I'm saying I'm taking ownership because I love showing up to say, can you just make a big gigantic pot of collard greens for me?
Yes.
But it's way more than, it is not intended to be a big party. This is a real thing that brings businesses together, and small entrepreneurs together. I see kids out there selling their wares.
Yes. So I mean, it's for everybody, and Danette, she, you know, puts all those things together. But we have young people, you know, that desire to be entrepreneurs. They are there, and we have a variety of expertise in our community, and so we just want to showcase that because, you know, wherein you might pay so much money over here, where, you know, you can spend what you can afford in our neighborhood, and that's just our culture. Our culture, you know, we utilize what we have. and we're certainly able to share.
And you work with some other organizations to help bring all of this together, I understand. I know
Yes.
that, you know, throughout the year you're working with an organization that helps teach students or help teach young people about financial literacy. Tell us about some of the organizations that you partner with on your own journey, Newtown Nation, your own Newtown Nation journey to economic revitalization and economic development.
Well, we work with the youth, which is Billionaire Babies 101. We recently
Partner ownership, Billionaire Babies. We've also partnered with Sarasota Performing Arts with the Mr. Stevie and Friends event. And we just have this thing that we're trying to get together for bringing a reentry program back into the community, so we're able to service people coming back into the community with everything that they need, be able to hold their hand to get through and give them the proper services. A lot of organizations, they have the programs, but it's kind of like, from what we hear, it's kind of like a sign-in sheet, and then no one else gets back, and we do know the first law of nature is self-preservation. So just trying to have a reentry program that works.
I know that you, Valerie, and you sound just like your mom now. This apple does not fall far from the tree when it comes to advocacy, right? But you often, I mean, over the years, you've always talked about giving people opportunities, and that is one of your big things, giving people opportunities.
Yes.
So even when we use the term reentry, just make sure that if you would, talk about that a little bit, because not everybody is familiar with the term. We are very familiar with it because we deal with people, interact with people, loved ones even, who are part of that reentry population.
What we mean by reentry is some people have hiccups in life, and they may have to go to jail, prison, and they get all these hopes. Okay, when I get out, I'm gonna be a better person. I want to be a better person. I'm striving to be a better person. But when they're freed and they're out here, it's kind of hard to go places with a background because every door is shut. Most of the doors are shut, not every door. Most of the doors are shut. So just being able to, if we can't service them, we can say someone else in the community can service them. If someone needs clothing, okay, we don't have clothing, but this organization can do it. Just to be able to get them in with the basic skills, because we wouldn't believe that some of the people that are taken away from society for a long time, it's hard for them to cope with being in the free world, I call it, because they're so used to being in the prison system. And just being able to get them back out here and being model citizens.
And put their talent to work.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you're cutting up these greens, and I wanted to make sure that we do talk about the fact that this it will be a party, and there will be lots of good eating going on at this Collard Greens Festival, but that's not all of it.
Right.
It's born out of your interest in that boots on the ground revitalization.
Right.